Listen to me, my daughter. Let me share something with you. There is a unique strength that rises in a woman when she learns the beauty and discipline of sacred silence. When she grasps that not everything in her soul is meant to be displayed or explained. Sometimes the deepest places in you, your fears, your hopes, your raw and unpolished prayers, belong in a space so personal, so untouched, that only you and God can hold them there together. This is not secrecy just for the sake of hiding. It is about shielding your spirit, guarding your heart, and honoring the holy connection that is your faith. We live in a time that urges us to share every pain, every victory, and every thought with someone else. But not every burden needs an audience. Not every tear needs a reason attached to it. Some things, especially the things that shape your soul, deserve the quiet honor of being kept only between you and the Lord. In these words, you will hear truths that can shift how you carry your faith, your hurts, and your dreams. You will be reminded that keeping certain things private is not a weakness, but a strong fortress. This is a journey of taking back your power, finding peace in solitude, and understanding that some prayers, some battles, and some hopes are best spoken in whispers that only God hears. You owe it to yourself to hear this message fully, not because you need another opinion, but because you need to remember the voice that has been quietly speaking within you all along. The reason to listen all the way through is simple. It will reshape the way you guard your peace, cherish your faith, and walk boldly in the sacredness of your own story. There is great power in holding certain pieces of your life close, keeping them deeply personal, and between you and God alone. This is not hiding because of shame or fear, but honoring the intimate bond you share with Him. When you allow some of your thoughts, struggles, prayers, and desires to stay sacred, you preserve their purity and power in a way that no outside influence can weaken or twist. This sacred keeping becomes a shield for your spirit, a sanctuary where your true self can breathe and grow without being touched by the world's noise. Life throws endless challenges and distractions your way, many demanding your explanations and confessions. Yet not every weight you carry is meant for the ears of others, and not every dream is meant to be shouted for all to hear. There are parts of your heart so precious, so delicate that they must be kept safe from the unpredictable judgments of the world. There is a quiet wisdom in knowing that some things should only be spoken in the stillness of your talks with God. It is in that place your soul can speak freely, without fear or pretending, and be fully understood. When you keep these sacred matters between yourself and Him, you create a holy place no one can touch. This place becomes a well of strength and resilience. You begin to trust that God hears your silent words, feels your deepest pain, and holds your most treasured dreams close to His heart. The beauty of these moments lies in their intimacy. No distractions, no interruptions, no weakening of meaning, just pure connection. This sacred keeping is not about locking yourself away or hiding for no reason. It is a purposeful choice to protect the heart of your journey, the foundation of your faith. By keeping certain matters here, you guard your walk with God from being shaken by outside criticism or opinion. You protect your moments of vulnerability, allowing them to be shaped and healed by His love. This sacred place between you and God becomes your shelter, your source of renewal and understanding. Keeping certain things sacred also shields your heart from unnecessary pain and confusion. When you share struggles too widely, they can be met with misunderstanding or lack of care, and your dreams can be ignored or dismissed. But when your prayers and intentions remain in God's hands, you protect them from the world's doubts and negativity. You preserve the clarity of your calling. This act of sacred keeping changes how you carry yourself in life's storms. It teaches you patience, humility, and trust. It teaches your heart to wait for God's perfect timing, surrendering your need to control, and believing that the answers you seek will come in His perfect way. It is a powerful form of faith, rooted in your unshakable connection with Him. Keeping certain things sacred is a sign of self-respect. It shows that you value what truly matters enough to protect it from the shallow and the temporary. It shows others that your life and your story are not open for careless opinions or intrusion. By honoring your sacred space, You set boundaries that signal the worth of your spirit. The beauty of this practice is that it creates a place for growth and transformation. When your prayers and struggles are kept in that holy space, you give them room to develop. You prepare the soil for healing and breakthroughs that are beyond human understanding. In this quiet, the seeds of your dreams take root and grow. God works in these moments quietly but with power, shaping you into the woman He intended you to be. That is why it is so important to see and embrace the things that should remain between you and Him. This is not a burden, but a blessing. A sacred trust that strengthens your faith and protects your heart. In a world that shouts for attention, choosing sacred silence is an act of wisdom and courage. It declares that your spiritual walk is yours alone with God, worthy of protection and reverence. When you hold your sacred truths close, you stand in your true identity and purpose. You become a woman unshaken by the winds of opinion or the storms of life. You carry a quiet confidence, knowing your deepest self is held in the loving hands of the Almighty. This confidence shows in the way you act, in your words, and in the peace you carry. Every whispered prayer in solitude, every silent battle you fight, builds a relationship beyond human understanding. This bond gives you strength in weakness, hope in wariness, and peace in chaos. This is the kind of strength that sustains you in your hardest moments. Choosing to keep things sacred is a gift you give yourself, a gift of protection, growth, and deeper faith. It honors your spirit and the bond you share with God. This is where true power lies, in the untouched places inside you that are held forever in His love. By living in this sacred trust, you not only protect yourself, but also open the door for God to move powerfully in your life. You let His wisdom guide you, His peace fill you, and His purpose unfold right on time. Sacred keeping is not just about what you hold back. It's about what you make space for: faith, healing, strength, and an unbreakable connection with God that carries you through every season. True strength often grows from the quiet moments between a woman and her Creator. In those silent places, far from the noise and the eyes of the world, the roots of courage and peace go deep. This strength is not loud. It doesn't seek praise or approval. It grows quietly, watered by trust, faith, and intimate talks with God. Alone in prayer, reflection, and surrender, a woman's character is shaped in ways the world cannot match. The world is full of noise, opinions, and demands that pull a woman's heart outward. In the middle of it all, solitude with God becomes essential. A sacred time to find peace and reclaim strength. It is here she meets her true self again and hears God's voice guiding her way. In this space, the masks come off. She can be honest without fear. She can lay her burdens down, speak her fears, and seek wisdom. This honesty is not weakness. It is healing. She learns that real strength is not the absence of trials, but the courage to face them with faith. True strength is staying rooted in hope when things look dark. It is calm in the storm. It is peace beyond human logic. This is the strength that grows when she trusts God's timing and releases control. Solitude also teaches patience. Life's trials are not always short, and the world wants quick answers. But in the waiting, she learns endurance. This builds a faith that does not crumble when life is uncertain. In these moments, she also remembers her worth, not based on looks, success, or approval, but on the unchanging love of God. This gives her confidence to live authentically. The quiet brings wisdom too. Away from distractions, her heart is open to God's direction. Decisions feel clearer, and peace replaces pressure. This peace cannot be bought or found in the praise of others. It comes only from God and sustains her through every season. It becomes a light for others to see. A woman with this strength does not need to prove herself. Her worth is secure. Her quiet confidence touches every part of her life: how she faces challenges, how she speaks, and how she loves. When storms come and voices rise against her, she stands firm because her foundation is God alone. Building this kind of strength takes commitment. It takes time for prayer, reflection, and gratitude. In that gratitude, she finds hope, believing God's promises even in hard days. Her strength also blesses others. Because she is rooted in God, she can love without losing herself. She inspires others to seek their own quiet strength. This strength changes her. She becomes steady in uncertainty, hopeful in despair, and brave in fear, it reminds us all that some of the most powerful battles are fought not in public, but in the quiet place where a woman stands strong with her God. And in guarding her heart, that sacred place where dreams, fears, and love live, she does not build walls, but wise gates. She chooses what enters. She protects her purpose. And in that protection, her heart stays pure, strong, and ready for whatever God calls her to. Their opinions, expectations, criticisms, and even kind but misplaced advice that can slowly chip away at a woman's sense of self. When the heart is open without discernment, it can absorb negativity that clouds judgment, drains strength, and twists the truth. The journey of guarding the heart begins with the awareness that not every voice or influence deserves a place inside. Choosing what to welcome and what to refuse is a powerful act of self-care and spiritual wisdom. In that sacred space between a woman and God, she learns how to protect her heart through prayer, quiet reflection, and listening to His guidance. This holy conversation helps her see clearly which emotions to cherish and which to release. It teaches her to hold her dreams gently and shield her fragile places with care. When she entrusts the most delicate parts of her heart to God, she creates a safe place where healing and restoration can happen without judgment or interference. Protecting the heart also means being wise about the relationships and influences that are allowed to touch it. A guarded heart is not a locked heart, but a heart that chooses carefully what it lets in. It means surrounding herself with companions, conversations, and experiences that lift her up, challenge her in healthy ways, and align with her faith and values. Toxic influences, harmful patterns, and draining relationships are kept at arm's length to preserve her peace and clarity. The heart is also the home of dreams and callings, and protecting it ensures these holy visions are not stolen or weakened by fear and doubt. When a woman holds her deepest aspirations close to God, she keeps their strength and potential intact. She shields them from discouragement coming from those who may not understand her path or her purpose. In this quiet keeping, her dreams grow steady and strong, nourished by faith and divine encouragement. This protection also extends to how she carries her pain and disappointment. Heart attach will come, but what she does with it makes all the difference. If her pain is shared carelessly or put on display, it can become a source of shame or bitterness. But when she chooses to bring her wounds only to God, she allows healing to take place in its fullness. This kind of healing keeps scars from becoming stumbling blocks and turns pain into a story of grace and resilience. Guarding the heart also means setting boundaries that honor her emotional and spiritual health. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out, but acts of respect for herself and for others. They keep her from being overwhelmed, from giving endlessly to those who never give back, and from losing sight of her worth. Through prayer, she learns when to say no, when to step away, and when to seek rest and renewal. In this sacred protection, the heart becomes a place where love can grow without fear, where hope can thrive without doubt, and where faith grows stronger even in uncertainty. The guarded heart is not cold or hard. It is alive, full of light, and filled with the joy that comes from being truly treasured. When a woman protects her heart, she learns to love and accept herself. She treats herself with kindness, patience, and grace. This self-respect becomes the foundation for all her relationships, shaping the way others treat her and the way she honors her own dreams. The journey of guarding the heart is ongoing. Life's challenges will always try to expose her weak places, but the woman who has learned this art keeps returning to her place of prayer, where she regains strength, focus, and peace. A heart that is protected and cared for becomes a source of deep wisdom and strength. It can love fully, forgive easily, and dream without fear. It becomes a vessel of God's grace, shining His love and light into the world. In protecting her heart, a woman also guards her legacy. The love, faith, and courage flowing from a well-guarded heart can inspire and strengthen generations to come. Her guarded heart is not only for her own sake, but for the difference she will make in the lives of others. This kind of guarding is not an act of fear, but an act of faith. Faith that God is the ultimate protector of her heart. It's knowing that while the world may try to wound or discourage, His presence is a fortress no enemy can break through. This trust turns the act of guarding into something beautiful, an act of hope and quiet assurance. The heart that stays sacred between a woman and her creator becomes a light in a world that often feels dark. It shines with the beauty of endurance, the depth of love, and the courage of faith. This heart shows the world that when a woman protects her true self with God's guidance, she walks with a peace and strength that nothing can take away. Guarding the heart is not a burden, but a gift. The gift of freedom to live openly and fully. It lets her embrace her journey with confidence, knowing her spirit is safe, her dreams are holy, and her faith will not be shaken. This is the power of a heart kept in the hands of God, a power that changes not just her own life, but the lives of all she touches. Faith and trust are the very foundation of a woman's spiritual walk. They are the ground her relationship with God stands on. This relationship is deeply personal, unique, and sacred, and it grows strongest when cared for privately, free from the weight of others' expectations. Faith is more than believing in something unseen. It's a living, breathing connection built on trust. Trust that God is working even when the way forward is unclear. Trust that His timing is perfect. Trust that His love never changes. A woman's walk with God is not meant to be a show for others or a checklist to impress anyone. It is a quiet, intimate conversation between her heart and the divine, happening in moments of prayer, reflection, and surrender. When she keeps her faith journey private, it grows in truth, unshaken by comparison or judgment. When faith is shared too openly, it can be pulled into the expectations of others, losing some of its purity. Trust is the heartbeat of faith. It's what carries her when doubts whisper and circumstances grow heavy. Trust means believing God's promises, even when there's no sign yet. It means holding on to hope during the darkest nights, believing every closed door is guiding her towards something better. Faith invites her to step into the unknown. Trust keeps her moving forward even when she cannot see the outcome. Together, faith and trust turn fear into courage and hopelessness into hope. This kind of transformation happens most deeply when her walk with God is kept sacred, away from the noise of outside voices. Keeping faith personal also helps her accept the season she's in, without comparing herself to others. Her journey is her own, shaped by her trials, blessings, and growth. By keeping her walk between herself and God, she learns to honor her own pace and trust His timing. This kind of faith cannot be shaken by outside opinions. Trust also teaches surrender, not giving up, but giving over control to God. Surrender brings peace in the middle of chaos and clarity in moments of confusion. It's knowing that His plans are better than hers. This deep assurance grows stronger in the still moments with Him. A woman rooted in faith and trust doesn't fall apart when life gets hard. She rises again, holding on to the truth that her value is not defined by her situation, but by God's unwavering love. Her faith shields her from despair and guides her through the dark. This resilience shows the power of a faith journey that is private, personal, and protected. When faith and trust stay between her and God, her purpose becomes clearer. She can listen to His voice without the static of outside expectations. This clarity fuels her passion and gives her the courage to follow His calling with conviction. Private faith also protects her from spiritual exhaustion. The world's demands can drain her if she feels she must prove her faith constantly. But when she keeps it sacred, she is renewed daily in prayer and quiet moments with God. This renewal gives her the strength to face life's challenges with grace. This faith and trust become her peace. Knowing she is in God's hands frees her from fear and anxiety. It's a peace that flows from within and touches everyone she meets. It reminds her daily she is never alone. God is always with her, guiding, supporting, and loving her. Faith and trust shape her choices, mold her character, and direct her steps. They give her courage, teach her to love without fear, and inspire her to live with purpose. This sacred bond is her strength, her hope, and her peace. Healing and growth often happen most deeply in the quiet space between a woman and God. These are not just emotional or physical processes. They are spiritual journeys that take time, patience, and trust. Healing begins when she opens her heart fully to God, laying down her pain, fears, and wounds without holding anything back. Healing isn't always a straight path. It's filled with setbacks, breakthroughs, and moments of stillness. In the noise of the world, healing can be interrupted or shallow. But in the quiet with God, healing unfolds completely and truthfully. Here she can face her pain without fear of judgment, knowing He meets her exactly where she is. This kind of healing touches every part of her, body, mind, and soul. It turns wounds into strength and scars into testimonies. And as she heals, she begins to grow. Her spirit becomes stronger, wiser, and more in tune with her purpose. Growth comes when she reflects, listens, and learns. The sacredness of this process protects it from the opinions of others. By keeping her healing private, she keeps it safe from voices that might belittle her pain or rush her process. She heals in her own time, in her own way. And as she heals, she becomes resilient. Not because life gets easier, but because her trust in God grows deeper. As a woman walks through pain and comes out on the other side, she carries within her a deep well of strength that will sustain her in the trials yet to come. This resilience grows from knowing, deep in her soul, that she has been held and healed by a power greater than herself. It becomes a living source of hope, reminding her that whatever comes her way, she can endure and rise again. Healing of this kind shapes the way she sees herself and her life. She starts to embrace her flaws instead of hiding them, to celebrate each step forward, and to believe in the gift she carries. This self-acceptance is not weakness, but courage. It is the very thing that allows her to live authentically and without fear. It gives her the boldness to follow her dreams with a renewed fire, engaging with life not from brokenness, but from wholeness. The closeness that forms between a woman and God through healing deepens her faith. She learns firsthand that God is faithful even in seasons of pain, and she sees how His love can renew what felt lost. This faith becomes a foundation she can stand on in both storms and victories, an anchor when the waters grow rough. Her roots in Him grow stronger, connecting her more deeply to the purpose for which she was created. This sacred process also teaches her patience and kindness, not just toward herself, but toward others. Having felt God's healing grace, she finds herself softer, more understanding, and able to see the pain behind another's eyes. Her own wounds become a bridge to those who hurt, allowing her to carry healing and hope to others. That is the ripple effect of grace. It always travels further than we can see. This kind of healing does not happen by accident. It takes devotion and intentional care. It means setting aside moments for prayer, for stillness, for looking inward. Even when life feels too heavy, it calls for honesty with the pain and a constant reaching toward God's presence. This is an act of love for herself and an act of trust in God, knowing that healing is a gift that must be tended. In the sacred space between a woman and her Creator, transformation happens. The broken places are restored, hope is breathed in again, and a resilient, living spirit shines forth. Her journey becomes a testimony of the power of God's love and the trust that empowers her to become who she was meant to be. And as she embraces that journey, she not only finds her own soul renewed, but becomes a light for others, a living example that God can turn pain into purpose, wounds into beauty, and silence into a song of hope. Purpose and calling are not things to be chased in the noise of the world. They are quiet invitations whispered to the heart, recognized only in the stillness shared with God. These callings are not born out of public applause, but out of private moments with Him. When a woman keeps her purpose between herself and God, she protects it from doubt, distraction, and the voices that might try to diminish it before it's ready. Every woman's path is different because God tailors each calling to her unique story, her gifts, and her experiences. When a purpose is guarded, it grows in fertile ground without being trampled by skepticism or comparison. It stays alive, vibrant, and guiding even in seasons that feel unclear. It becomes her North Star, reminding her of the role she alone can fill in the story God is writing for her life. This quiet strength is born from divine assurance, not the approval of people. It gives her the courage to keep moving forward when the way is hard. In the still moments of prayer and reflection, she learns to listen for God's whispers, His guidance, His nudges, His gentle corrections. This back and forth with Him shapes her understanding and keeps her step steady. Holding her purpose close also shields it from premature judgment. The world is quick to question or belittle what it doesn't understand, but keeping it private preserves its purity until God says it's time. And this guarding teaches her patience, for God's timing rarely matches her own. Purpose grows in the waiting, and the waiting itself becomes part of the preparation. Keeping a calling sacred takes courage. It means standing strong against discouragement and refusing to measure her worth by worldly success. Her purpose lies in her choices, her relationships, and even the small, unseen moments of her day. It is not something she simply talks about. It shapes the way she lives. Over time, her calling shifts and grows as she does. In the gentle hands of God, it is refined again and again, staying alive and meaningful. This guarding also teaches humility, reminding her that it's not about her glory, but about serving a greater plan. When a woman truly trusts that her purpose rests in God's hands, she can release the pressure to control or rush the outcome. This trust brings peace. It steadies her in storms and frees her from constant striving. Her quiet, faithful steps become a silent testimony to others. They see her walking with conviction and are inspired to seek their own God-given path. And in that sacred place with Him, she learns that her worth does not depend on being like anyone else. She is free to shine exactly as He made her. Peace beyond understanding is one of the richest gifts she can know. It is not tied to how smooth life is or how others see her. It is a deep calm that no storm can shake. It comes from knowing God is present, loving, and in control. This peace grows strongest in the quiet places. When she lays down her fears in prayer, trusts Him with her questions, and chooses to believe He is enough. Life will always have moments of uncertainty and pain. People will sometimes fail her. But this peace stays like a shelter in the wind. It is in that sacred space of trust that she lets go of control and simply rests, knowing she is held by a love that will not let her go. This peace is not earned by perfection. It is given by grace. It shows itself when she chooses faith over fear, even when she can't see the end of the road. It guards her heart against the chaos that tries to creep in. But like any treasure, it must be cared for. It means pulling away from the noise, turning from voices that stir anxiety, and returning again and again to God's promises. When her spirit is anchored in divine peace, it changes how she lives. She can pause before reacting, listen before speaking, and love without fear. People around her feel the quiet strength that flows from her. This peace becomes a shield against fear and worry, reminding her that she's never alone. Even when her circumstances don't go as planned, she knows there's a higher plan in motion. This peace makes room for forgiveness, for herself and for others. It lifts the weight of regret and resentment, allowing her heart to heal and to love again. It also births hope, not a shallow optimism, but a deep trust that the future is safe in God's hands. This hope carries her through long waits and uncertain seasons. It makes her resilient, able to face pain without losing her center. It invites her to live fully in the present moment, to enjoy the blessing she has now, instead of living in the shadow of what has been or what might come. This kind of peace grows with time. It's not fleeting, it becomes part of who she is. It shapes her choices, her character, and her future. It is proof of what happens when a woman chooses to keep her heart closely tied to God's. It is her refuge, her song, and her strength. The woman who chooses to keep certain treasures of her heart quietly between herself and God is walking a rare and beautiful path. In that sacred space, she guards her heart, nurtures her dreams, and grows in faith. Healing begins there. Purpose takes shape there. Peace takes root there. Her trust in God becomes the foundation for courage and unshakable hope. By protecting these sacred parts of her life, she keeps them pure and strong. And in a world that pushes for constant exposure, she finds power in quiet trust. It is her declaration that her story is safe in God's hands, and because of that, she can walk into the future with peace that nothing can take away.